it again and got even better. I wish I'd have said are mastering, because we're even better now than we were last year when I gave them this coin. But again, I wanted you to have one. It just meant a lot to our staff, and it meant a lot to me. I just needed to thank them for all their work above and beyond. And some of the things that I'll share are in our staff strengths that I'll get to as soon as I remember how to do this. There it is. Okay, we polled our building leadership team and some of our staff, and here's how they see some of our strengths. Last year, we won the Civic Engagement Award. That's the Civic Advocacy Network Award through the state of Kansas, Department of Education. We'd applied the year before, and they gave us some things to work on and buff up a little bit, and tremendous job. And a lot of thanks go to Miss Laura McFerrin, who's standing back there, who spearheaded that, and our staff and students stepped up. And that's more than community service, because while that's very valuable and a great part, that's only one of, Laura, was it 7 or 5 sections? A bunch. And so a lot of that was community involvement in different ways, other than that, the civic engagement of our kids learning how to be leaders. So you'll see some of the evidence of that in a couple of slides. But some of our new technology, how we were able to utilize Canvas, some new Cami software, document cameras, a swivel. We just found, adopted, rejected, tried again. We were trying multitudes of things, trying to make it interactive for students and a powerful experience with what we had. And I talked to Mrs. Bahati this morning. We couldn't have paid for that kind of professional development. It needed to be done, and my staff did it. And it wasn't unheard of for somebody to have a question, send it to the whole staff, and get 25 replies back on how to get this done. So it broke down some of those concrete walls between hallways at Derby North, and now we've just got a much more cohesive staff. So just really impressed with that. We streamlined our MTSS process, multi-tier system of supports, and that's how we help kids. We'll talk about them in team, bring it to our larger team, assign a case manager, and just get to it, and wherever that leads us. We have a new positive referral system, student recognition, and that's expanding nicely with the help of our parent-teacher group and ideas from our staff. The latest, last Friday, before the weather started getting crummy, we started putting yard signs out for our Students of the Month. That's just an example of what our parent group wanted to do. We had done that for staff earlier. They thought it was powerful, and so now we're doing that for students. Again, we have staff just helping each other conquer challenges from the simple to the complex. No question goes unanswered. And we have a great new schedule that's kind of been lost in all of this, these COVID challenges, where we have more elective choices, and many of those added rigor to our offerings. So thrilled with how that's going, and next year we'll have our nice first full year of that. But here are our challenges, because there are some. COVID protocols are a challenge. They're necessary, but they make everything more difficult. When people say, how's it going at Derby North? And I get that a lot. I'll say it's going great, but everything's just a few degrees harder. Necessary, worth it. We would never skip, but it just makes things a little more challenging, just like we're doing in here. So sub shortages, much better, but still a challenge. And my staff thinks that floating substitute should be a permanent addition, just because it makes everything easier. It makes teachers feel not guilty if they know there's not a sub in the room and they don't feel well. It's pretty tempting to come to work. And so that's been helping with that. And kudos to our Human Resources Department and Mrs. Mader. That's made a huge difference. Let's see, staff engagement, that's always tricky in the middle school. We always want to work on that. You've heard of senioritis. Well, we have 8th grade itis too. And so just keeping everybody plowing ahead and keeping them motivated, and different with some online, different with remote, different with in-person, but something we always work on. And we've had a bunch of mid-year staff changes. We've had somebody promoted to work for the district to take care of the COVID challenges. Ms. Stedman here was in our building, and when we opened up the new Panther Learning Center, they have a great new secretary They used to be a great secretary for me, and we're happy to do that. It just presents some challenges in the middle of the year, and we've risen up, and it's been a great opportunity to cross-train. So, but everything's going great. Kids don't even know anything happened. Whoops. And then I have a principals leadership team as part of our civic advocacy work. And I was asking them what our strengths are. And this is what they sent to me. They love our sports and performing arts. And we have a variety of fun clubs. Just last week, we started Rubik's Cube Club. We've had anime clubs. We have a ranch and rodeo club. We have a lot of things that aren't on the CASHA list of approved activities that people ask. We find a person with a passion, and we make it happen. Nice teachers, which is a real compliment from 7th and 8th graders. We have a large library. Outdoor classroom, which I'll talk to you in just a little bit. They've had a huge part in designing that, so I'll show you that. And they're really excited. They want dances. They want movie nights. Well, that's not possible right now. Or is it? I'll tease you with that for just a minute. And the challenges, they want their cell phones back. So this year we went to off and away with cell phones. They're not allowed to have those at any time. And that's been different from past years. They like our new electives, and they like even more. They'd like an increase in lunch variety, and that was a great opportunity for us to say why the lunch variety has gone down. And a lot of that is COVID related, with speed of service and to be honest, and if you make the meal too heavy, the foam trays can't hold it. I mean, decisions like that have limited some offerings, and when this is over, we'll go back to a more robust offering. And they were thrilled to have a reason. So excited about that. And again, a lot of times it comes back to lunch, which is a free time for them. We have quite a robust lunch routine to keep them safe and apart, but yet have time to talk. And they're wanting to return to normal. But they also know that we're keeping them safe, and so they get it. They would just like it to go back to normal. So those were the challenges and some of our strengths. And I'll stand for questions, and then I'll touch on a broken down dam and a bunch of grasses that would look pretty when the wind blew. And I had trouble with that. So this is what it looked like about a year ago. You can see where the dam used to be. You can see where the drain tubes used to be, and you probably can't see the snakes and the poison ivy and the ticks, but Ms. McFerrin can tell you they're there. I'll tell you the story. So we added a drainage system. We did this with the help of our grounds crew and material that we scavenged from the Panther Stadium renovation work. If you remember, the Panther Stadium had blocked drain tubes, and some of this material was left over from that project, so they know enough that Jeff will take this. He's got something he'll do with it, and so that came to me, and we started digging. That's the next step, kind of making our concrete, and we made the dam much bigger and wider. So this is the east side, and then after our work, this is about the same side here. We've made the dam about 4 to 5 feet wider, 4 to 5 feet taller, and so now we can get through there without the poison ivy and the ticks, and you can have time to get away from the snakes and the area to move. What you see there is a solar panel that will power a solar-powered bubbler, just like the one in your fish tank at home, to help with the pond. The pond, before we started working on it, had about 1.5 inches of algae growth every year because the water got too hot. There was so much overgrowth around there, no wind can get through. And so we've been taking out timber for the last 5 years. We have Boy Scouts that come harvest it for their campouts. And every once in a while we have a big old bonfire, and we had one this last Monday because it was wet enough and no wind. So we just burned some huge piles of brush that we had been taking out of there over the last year. Just an example of, this is a great egret, a wingspan of about 4 to 5 feet. We had 14 at one time last summer. They look great when they fly in over the dam. Like I said, I tried to sneak up on the geese, but didn't work. We have trail cams out there. Right now, we've got at least 6 deer, a 4-point buck, a 6-point buck, and 4 doe. We've got a pack of 4 coyotes. We've got a brood of wild turkeys. Sometime if you ask the ground crew about it, they've been treed by those turkeys twice. They had to go back in their truck, and then when the turkey saw himself in the chrome bumper, started pecking the chrome bumper and chased poor Jeff Ohms across the street. So he knows better now. We have a certified monarch way station out there. This was a Boy Scout project about 3 years ago. We have milkweed plugs coming from a grant that we were awarded. These are some plants that we've been putting in for the last couple of years, and we have the ability to tag butterflies now. We've got little Derby North stickers we put on them, and as they migrate to Mexico, they capture them in Mexico, and they can see the migratory path, and that helps the researchers at KU figure out where they need to work on conservation, where we need to start adding some more of the food they like, the habitat they need, because so much of it's been destroyed. So if you're going to do that, you want to focus on the migratory path so you get the most bang for your buck. So we've got that going. We've got the butterfly nets and the tags, and we're so excited about the migration this year. We should be able to get some. Got tired of carrying water, so worked with the grounds crew, and we trenched a water line about 300 yards. So looks a little better than that now. That's the day we put it in. But we have water there for the butterfly garden and for everything we'll need over there. When I talked about the big old pile of dirt, that's looking from the butterfly garden back towards the school from east to west. So we took that hill and we leveled all the ground you're looking at and used it to rebuild the dam and to make it bigger. Then we took more things from the Derby Panther construction project. We'd already had some rock we scavenged from the Derby Hills roof project several years ago. And then I think this is layer 1. We've got layer 2 on there. Level 3 will be some crushed granite that will roll so wheelchairs can go on that. Concrete was way too expensive, and asphalt, we'd be repairing that every year as it buckled and heaved in that clay soil. So we're pretty excited about that. So this was our blank canvas. Here's where it gets interesting. Through Eagle Scout projects and grants, now we're starting to populate that with items. We've got, this is one of Mr. Chadwick's classes. You can see an Eagle Scout project there with some more plants. We wanted the butterfly plants a little farther out, not just around the butterfly garden. And that sign you're looking at thanks all the people that have worked so far. On the back, it has what is in the butterfly garden and rules for all the games that are there now. That was my project this summer. I just took paving stones and made a big old chessboard. So also we have checkers too. So either one, that's a lot of fun. Got a bunch of 4 pieces of equipment made possible by a Be the Spark grant through the Kansas Association of Youth, the K Club. And they were so excited when they came out and saw what we had done. They said, we've got more money left over from that grant. Can we give you more? So I've got the second phase of that in their hands right now. And I'm not sure who here has heard of Gaga Ball? All right, so I hadn't heard of it either. It's an octagonal pit, and kids just love it. If you don't have a course, they'll take tables and lawn chairs, whatever, and they'll make one. This was Eagle Scout labor. We got the lumber from Derby Hills from some raised garden beds they took out, and gravel again came from Panther Stadium. Here's what it looks like when it's done. And the Scouts' dad was an engineer, and he thinks like that. That Gaga pit's going nowhere. It's even got artificial turf in there. And that tells you how Gaga Ball is played. Kids, it's very fast paced. Kids love it. We already have a 9-hole frisbee golf and a 9-hole foot golf course put in by another Boy Scout years ago. Not years ago, like 3 years ago. This is a multi-use area. We're going to use that for portions of a cross-country course. This was completely overgrown, and we just have been clearing that out. It's going to be part of our planned Braille Trail, which is similar to the flyer that you have in front of you. We have a sensory hallway for kids inside the building that you didn't get to see, so we wanted to show you the brochure. So it'll be similar to that, just outside. We thought about where are we going to sit kids out there? Where am I going to put the bleachers? And my wife said, you are a foolish, foolish man. And it's COVID, and why don't you make it flexible? So we spent some dollars and got some heavy-duty camp chairs so we can be socially distanced, and we can put those bleachers wherever you want. So teachers can check out a class set of those and leave them out there for the day, and then for the last group, bring them back in. So they can check those out, and that's going to work really well. And this answers the problem of movie night. So this is an inflatable 25-foot movie screen that our parent group bought for us. So, and the first movie night we have will pay for itself. Those are life-size children. Those are the Goebel kids, if anybody knows the Goebels. It was too cold to go outside, so I blew it up inside. I wanted to test it before it had been in our possession too long. But as soon as it gets warm, we'll have some outdoor movie nights and use that. I'm hoping that it's bright enough that we can show some during the day too. We'll just have to see about that. But it's like it blows up just like a moonwalk. And we've already got a sound system that I brought with us from the 6th grade center, and we're in good shape there. Here's what's coming up next, and I'll go as fast as I can here. We got a grant from the Optimist Club, and I have a teacher that wants to sponsor a golf club. So he's got some of his buddies who are going to work with me and the grounds crew, and we're going to put in that golf course. So it's going to have 4 or 5 putting surfaces. We're going to have a pit, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Here's a sensory trail. We're going to partner with McCown Gordon on this. I called them last week to say, can you give me extra supplies left over from the construction because I want to build something like this? And he said, no. He said, I'm going to keep them, and we're going to just come out and build it for you. So I was just thrilled with that partnership. And he's also thinking about getting me a better surface for the walkway than crushed granite. He's got a better idea that he'll get me through donation or at cost. So I'm thrilled with that. We've got lots of tree stumps left, so we've got some Boy Scouts that are going to come do some work on this for me. And this is something that I'm really excited about. We're going to do some wheelchair accessible garden beds. And I've got a group already that has committed to building those for me this summer. So I'm super excited about that. We've got all the ID and functional kids from 6 through 8 go to our building, and I think this will be fantastic. Our first project, we're going to grow pumpkins. You plant them in May. You harvest them in October so they can grow their own pumpkins for some Halloween projects. So I'm really excited about that. And you'll hear about this later tonight, but I've got grant funding for an ADA compliant dock for our pond. Doesn't look quite like this, but instead of the octagonal shape at the end, we're going to have a larger, just a rectangle. It'll have a security gate on the front, but this will work perfect for our dam, and we can do so much with this. One of the first things we're going to do is make partnerships. We've already met with the elementary schools that feed our school, talking with Derby High School, and I'm really excited. I met with Friends University, the biology and zoology department chair last week, and they have seniors looking for senior conservation projects, and they've jumped on board as of last Thursday. So we've got them coming out and doing some projects with us. So, and again, it fits really well with our civic engagement process too. This is the neatest thing and so cheap. I was just amazed how simple it was. This is an underwater periscope. It's just a piece of PVC pipe with a 90-degree elbow, a 99-cent makeup mirror, and a piece of plexiglass or glass on the front. You can look through it, put the camera through it, and you can see underwater. That way they can do that they can be on the dock. They don't have to get nasty, wet. Wet middle schoolers often smell bad. So we're gonna avoid that, and we will be able to explore our pond and our wildlife out there. I already shared about that. And just for you to put all this together, here is a aerial shot of Derby North and what we hope to do. So again, we have so much out there. There's even a bowl out there, the natural amphitheater from when they were doing the dirt work on Derby North. If we chop that down, throw some telephone poles down for seating, we've got an amphitheater out there. Just amazing things we can do. So right now, it's just waiting for ideas. I've got a funding source through the Dillon's Community Rewards. We get about $1,500 every 3 months from them, just through our generous parents who sign up for that, and I don't have to sell them wrapping paper or cookie dough. It's wonderful. We are hoping to get some, we have to run internet to the press box, so we're hoping we can extend that to the scoreboard and get internet for the outdoor classroom so we can make that an even more powerful learning center. And here's just some ideas that we have in working with some of our partners, everything from a large awning for shade, geocaching, the plant and tree ID tags, compost bin, sand volleyball pits. 2 I just got today, or 3, solar system markers. If you've ever been on a field trip to Lake Afton, when the observatory was open, they had markers for the solar system so you could really see how far apart they were, just on a smaller scale, so we're gonna do that. And our art teachers are teaching kids street art. So we'd like to make a concrete pad just for street art. And this just came about after school today. Was working with our FACS teacher, and she'd like to explore some farm-to-table growing of vegetables and things and showing the kids how to cook them. So our very own farm-to-table program. So super excited about that. And we can't wait to get started on this. And I get excited about this and talked way too long. I think I went over my 5 minutes, so I apologize. But love to have you come out when it gets a little warmer and take a look, and I'll stand for any questions you have.
Anybody have any questions?
It's a great job.
It's not been me. It's been a lot of people, including the people standing back there. My job was to make them a blank canvas, and I can't thank our grounds crew enough. They have made this a labor of love for themselves too. It would have been tens of thousands of dollars to pay for the work they've done out there. So it's been a great opportunity. I'm just grateful that I get to be a part of it. And now I think we're probably ready for years of service.
Sir.
Tell me where to go. Yep. Okay, I'm going to announce everybody for our years of service, even some that aren't here. This is a combination of this year and last year, since because of COVID, we weren't able to do this. So for this year, for 10 years, we have Miss Christy Bacon. She's not here tonight, but she's a parent in our building, and she's been in the district in several capacities at several different times, but just an integral part of Derby North. So congratulations, Christy. I have 15 years. I've got Miss Jo Dixon, and she has been with me from the beginning. When I left, she was my para at Carleton. When I left the classroom at Park Hill, she took my place, and then as soon as I could steal her, I did. So she's been with me for 15 years. And Miss Hillary Phipps, the same. She started out as a kindergarten teacher at Swaney, was with me at the 6th grade center and helped develop our middle school 101 program that people still come to our middle schools to try to copy. So congratulations to her. And next I have Miss Amy Stedman. So she's been with us for...
Yeah, you guys, if you're here, you can come on.
If you're here, you get to come all the way up.
Yep.
So Ms. Stedman now is working for the district. She is our GTC coordinator at Derby North, but now she's working for the district as our COVID coordinator. So I love to see her, and I hate to see her at the same time.
Fair enough.
So congratulations, Amy. And last with 15 years is Miss Kristen Wells. She started out at Alternative High School, and then when that ceased to exist, she went to Derby Middle School, and I was lucky enough to get her at Derby North when we split up buildings. So thank you, Kristen. We appreciate your service. 20 years, Troy Smith is not here, but he was at the middle school, and 5 years ago came to work for us, and he does a great job. He's kind of a mountain man. It's fun to talk to. He has a lot of great stories. And he's into literature. He loves, he teaches everything through that mindset and does a great job. And then these are some special awards that don't get to happen very often. So we have two 35-year awardees here. So they've been with us for 35 years. So first, we've got Miss Barb Greenup. So congratulations, Barb. Barb has been with me. Yeah, no kidding. Barb's been with me since the sixth grade center days, and she brings that joy and that care for kids here. Often on Saturdays, you'll find her at her students' football games, soccer games, and other than her husband, her two favorite men are who, Barb?
John Bon Jovi and John Elway.
John Bon Jovi and John Elway. Never any debate about that. And 35 years, Miss Sherry Rabel. And I met Sherry when she was at Derby Hills, and she would call me over to help judge the invention convention. And then as soon as I got to the middle school, I started the full court press on trying to get her to come over, and I finally wore her down. So she's a reading special with us, and she impacts kids in a positive way every single day. So congratulations, Sherry. Last year's awardee, so now 11 years of service, would be Mrs. Laura McFerrin. So I first met Laura when she subbed at the sixth grade center, and I had an opening, and she wouldn't take it because she wanted to work at the middle school. But now she's a department chair at Derby North, and just a valued part of our building leadership team, and one of kids' favorite teachers. So congratulations, Laura. 20 years, Miss Tammy Sears. Tammy Sears is what a middle school nurse should be. She's got that great combination of gravitas and care for kids and the detector that allows her to know if a kid should be in class or not. So she does a great job, and she looks at it from a medical perspective, which she should, and so it just works out really, really well. So she's a huge part of our team, and I really appreciate everything, Tammy. 21 years. And then we have two people that are getting the University of Kansas School of Education 25-year certificates. So it's 25 years of teaching. It doesn't mean they went to KU for those K-State people out there. It means they have the award. So the first one is Kimberly Brodden, Kim Brodden, and she's at home tonight. She is my language arts chair at Derby North, and a huge Snoopy fan, and she just loves kids. So she does a wonderful, wonderful job, and we're lucky to have her. And then Miss Susan Topping is here. She was here. So I'll get that award to her tomorrow. But she's a speech language pathologist, and she worked for my wife about 20 years ago. Met her there, and then we taught together at Park Hill, and I've been blessed that she's been the speech language pathologist at Derby North since we opened, and she's the driving force behind that brochure that you saw. And for example, that pumpkin patch idea was hers, and she just loves working with the students in my building, and I'm blessed to have her as I am all these ladies here. So thank you for honoring them, and ladies, thank you for coming. It means a lot to me that you fought through the cold and the ice to be here. It's a great chance for us to honor you. So thank you very much. And thank you.
All right, next up is Derby Hills Elementary Years of Service with Dr. Brent Wolf.
So my 45 minutes begins now. Just kidding. I just like to give Mr. Smith a hard time. I have three phenomenal educators to get to announce and introduce tonight for their years of service, starting with 10 years, Miss Tara Nussbaum. Ms. Nussbaum taught first grade for Rose Hill for 14 years and then came to Oaklawn Elementary to be an ESOL teacher from pre-K through fifth grade. And she then became a reading specialist at Pleasant View for 5 years, and now she is our instructional coach. She has fulfilled this job for 2 years, and as a first-year principal, I have been so thankful for her organization and systematic approach to curriculum and instruction. Her knowledge on literacy and phonemic awareness has come in extremely helpful, so helpful, in fact, that next year she's changing from the instructional coach to a reading specialist. Her skills and connections with students are dynamic. I'm thankful for her help and professionalism this year, and I look forward to working with her for many, many more years to come. Thank you, Tara. For 20 years, Miss Cindy Blasey. Miss Blasey has worked at Tanglewood, Pleasant View, Oaklawn, Park Hill, and Derby Hill. She's also helped out at Cooper, Tri-City, and the 6th grade center. I think that's everybody. We are very fortunate at Derby Hills to have the gifts of Mrs. Cindy Blasey. When it comes to the social emotional health of students and staff, Miss Blasey is a leader not only in our building, but in the district and statewide. Her efforts to meet all of the students' and staff's needs is evident. Her kind and proactive approach to students' behaviors and their mental health needs allows for students to see success and be resilient. The list of resources she has to help teachers and principals is significant, and she empowers us to be better for our students. Ms. Blasey's dynamic connections with some of our students who are extremely vulnerable inspires me every day. Thank you, Ms. Blasey. And 25 years, Mrs. Lisa Ryan. Mrs. Ryan has taught kindergarten and 4th grade at Tanglewood and 1st grade at El Paso, and she is in her 7th year at Derby Hills. The first word that comes to mind when I think of Mrs. Ryan is advocacy. Mrs. Ryan advocates for her students. She's a reading specialist at Derby Hills who spends her time with students presenting intensive reading strategies to help students achieve growth. Mrs. Ryan advocates for her colleagues. She's a Derby Hills NEA representative. She's approachable and welcomes staff to come to her with concerns, and she advocates for her profession. She spends much of her time helping the district on several committees. So Lisa Ryan is her name, and advocacy is her game. Thank you, Lisa. And that's all of it.
Congratulations to everybody, and thank you for coming tonight. Next up is routine action and approval of minutes for January 25th regular meeting that we had. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, 6-0. All right, next up is citizens' community presentations, and DNEA with Joel Addis is first up.
Monthly virtual presidents meetings, and so we're able to connect with our peers from across the state and just kind of discuss various points of interest that we can then share with our members and our locals. And I attended one of those last week. A couple of points of information I would like to share with you from that. First, I spoke last summer about my experience attending our representative assembly for the National Education Association, and I know earlier this school year I shared with you the list of educators who would be attending our Kansas representative assembly. And it was shared with us that both of those events have been moved to a virtual format for this year. And so DNEA is looking at some ways that we can honor the time of those Derby educators who are still going to participate in that. And then also kind of excited for whoever attends for DNEA at the national level, because as long as it fits into the local guidelines at the time, we will be coming together in Topeka and attending that as a statewide group. Another thing was shared was KNEA strategic focus grants, and DNEA is actually working on one right now focused on member appreciation and recognition. There was this one kind of blew my mind. KNEA has partnered with Vesey and Baker University to provide an amazing resource for local members. And it's up to 9 credit hours of graduate level courses for $200. And to be clear, that's not $200 a credit hour. That's $200. And so that's 9 hours that can be used for recertification or salary enhancement. And then finally, we learned about a unique to this year leadership development opportunity. NEA hosts an annual National Leadership Summit for 2,000 educators across the nation. And the goal of that is to develop leaders and provide them the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to lead relevant, thriving associations. And, usually it's held in March, and usually there are some barriers to attending, but due to the unique nature of this school year, it's going to be virtual. And I'm actually really thrilled to share that I'm going to represent DNEA at this summit. I'm really looking forward to connecting with local leaders across the country, but then also I'm going to be participating in some breakout sessions focused on developing a local organization, connecting with and working with educators kind of across their careers, but then also really reflecting on my own processes and capacities as a leader. And then, like anything that I have a chance to participate in for KNEA and NEA, I'm really looking forward to what I can gain from that experience and bring back to our local. So with that, I would thank you and stand for any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Joel.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, patrons, I don't believe we had anybody sign up. Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. The first item is certified and classified personnel reports, and then claims are both included in the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve those?
Move to approve.
Okay, okay. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Okay, 6-0 in favor. Next up, under reports, is gating committee update with Heather Bohati.
Heather Bohati, Superintendent. On the agenda, we each meeting have the gating committee updates and a chance to answer any questions and give you updates. As in your packet, we are continuing to run in person for kindergarten through 12th grade and in the yellow area. The committee did decide that we would stay with our current safety, security, logistics plan, so that will remain the same. I'll stand for any questions on that, and then I have a couple other updates for you. Okay. Not any other questions on that one?
Matt, you've got a question.
Oh, we do have, okay.
So, I've been watching the news lately, and they were talking about this next COVID package was gonna have funds for getting schools back in session, which we're apparently already ahead of the game on that. Have you guys been paying attention to that at all?
We have,
Okay. Just
yes.
comment, question kind of thing. So-
Correct.
Great.
We, at this point, had received, and we should be able to tap into that in March. There's some ESSER, some additional funds or CARES funds that are available. So we received the first round There's a second round, and what they're talking about is potential a third round,
Right.
is what they're looking at. So with the second round, the KSDE has said that it's going to have an application process with that. So we will receive the funds, but before we initiate projects, that we would need to submit that application. And then once we submit that and say how we're going to submit that, then we'd be able to spend it. I have not heard details if we were to get a third round, but know that
Yeah,
there's
it's,
potential with that.
It's been a little sparse on the details, but it seems like that the funds are gonna be made available to any district that's working to get back in session, which I would think we would qualify for. All right.
I can tell you, we've had conversations on, we have many items that funds, even with the second round, that we plan to focus. It's really a big emphasis on those funds are about helping our students that obviously due to these circumstances and with COVID, maybe there's learning gaps and other things like that. So our Return to Learn Committee has already been talking about what are some summer offerings and how does that look to help close that gap. A couple other updates that I have are, we did, first semester, it came out about early childhood and kindergarten with masks with that, and had a vote regarding at that level. So we said we'd revisit that the second semester. And I've shared that information with you, but we will continue as is at those levels and the feedback from staff in that. And then the next one is we did hold this past Wednesday. Sedgwick County did a session regarding vaccines and providing an update, and any staff member could join. We did record that. We'll be sending it out with our next update, so staff that didn't get to hear that. But it's a good background about information about how many shots are coming in. It talked about how those were developed. And so I'd encourage you, if you have not seen that or didn't get a chance, to take a look at that. And I thought it provided some good question answer time for staff members on that. We also are in conversation with them if, again, we're able to host vaccines, and again, it's if it is, we encourage our staff to go ahead, if there's an opportunity they become eligible for a vaccine, to go ahead and get out there. But we are making plans in the district if we are able to host and be prepared for that piece of it. So all of that's been going on. I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say to the gating committee, again, thank you for their work. It's a every 2-week process, and it's been a little easier the last few meetings, but there's a lot of information and a lot of conversation still. So thank you to the gating committee. Thanks for the
Appreciate that.
presentation. All right, next up is bond update with McCown Gordon.
Hold down. I think you can go.
You could use your mouse. It's a PDF.
Okay, you can just scroll. I'm Burke Jones, Director of Operations, and tonight we have Travis Huffman with McCown Gordon Construction to give us an update on our 2018 bond projects. It's really fitting tonight to be in this building and get this update. We're anxious to give the tour to the board later tonight. So with that, I'll turn it over to Travis.
Thanks, Bert. Well, he stole my thunder, a part of my opening, so I'll try to rehash it again. So it's great to see everybody. Travis Huffman, project executive for McCown Gordon. It's been some time since I've been in front of you. We spent a lot of time working through getting all the projects, under contract and under construction. So echoing what Burke said, this is fitting, being in the new boardroom, helping facilitate the tour tonight and to celebrate this and keep you guys abreast of the progress that we have going on. So with that, I thought it was fitting just to talk about the timeline a little bit. Obviously, early 2018, the bond was approved. Construction started late 2018. Here we are, fast forward to early 21, and with an early 22 projected completion of all the projects, we're approximately about 70% complete from a timeline standpoint related to the projects. So out of the 18 projects, 12 of them are actually completed with 6 under construction, and everything's under contract at this point. So a lot of progress going on, and I'm sure as you guys have been around town, the Cooper Oaklawn Panther Stadium, and we'll show you some updates on the progress. I did want to touch on the projects that have been completed, just to give some refresh highlights. El Paso Elementary, some significant interior improvements on that project. Swaney Elementary, some restroom improvements. Derby High bid package 1, if you recall, we split that into 2 packages. The first package being mainly the common area improvements with some classroom updates. Wine Tier Elementary, storm shelter expansion with some interior classroom improvements. Park Hill Elementary, we had 2 expansions on either side of the wings with some storm shelters and some interior improvements. The athletics projects, really 3 different sites. We had the Derby Soccer Complex with the tennis courts, the Derby North Middle School restrooms at the football facility, and then the concession stand at the high school practice field. Stone Creek Elementary, everybody knows about that one, the new elementary school that is in its first year of operation. Tanglewood Elementary, just next door, updated admin offices with some classroom and facility interior remodel updates. Derby Hills had the new gym expansion with the cafeteria, some pretty significant improvements on that elementary school. Panther, if you guys recall, we split that into 2 projects. Appreciate the board's flexibility on that. That was really to get that new parking lot in that allowed for some utilization of this last season, even with the limitations from COVID, and then to just pave the way for the progress that we have going on now out there. The Derby High School bid package 2, more of a significant package out at the high school. Really, there wasn't many parts of that school that we didn't touch. Some significant classroom improvement projects, as well as the 2 expansions on the building with the multi-purpose room and the alt learning center. And then the admin center, I'm not sure where that building's at. Wait, that's it, right? So we're looking forward to facilitating a tour. Shannon Bohm with Schaefer Johnson Cox and Fry, the architect, is here to help facilitate as well, as long with John Clark, the project manager, and Mitch Benz, our market leader here in Wichita. So we'll be around to help facilitate and answer any questions as we tour the building. And then last but not least, I know that's long-winded, but that's a lot of completed work up to date, is everything that we have under construction right now. Significant improvements. If you haven't been by the Cooper and Oak Lawn sites, please go by there. It changes every day, even with the weather that we're battling with right now. Cooper Elementary, it's taking its shape. We're doing the in-wall rough and getting ready to start drywall, so that building's really gonna start pulling together here pretty quick. Oak Lawn, if you go out there, you can see the architectural features from the roads with the steel going up, the high peaks, and working on slab on grade and structure. Derby Middle School, this is similar to the high school where there's multiple portions of the building that we're touching. We turned over the first couple areas with the, there's a new restroom facility that we're getting ready to turn over this next week. And then some of the interior remodel phases we've turned over. And then that north expansion for the classroom, there's 10 classrooms on the east side. The lower classrooms in the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to turn that back over to the school. And then we have some features throughout this year in the summer related to the mechanical system upgrades that are ongoing. Then Panther Stadium, hopefully everybody saw the short little video that everybody was out there and took of the demolition of the old grandstands. I know that was sentimental to a lot of people in this community, but also showed the success and the new age that's gonna come out, and the renderings that Schaefer and team put together with the vision of Derby Schools. It's gonna be an amazing facility. The progress out there has been pretty great. Foundations for all the grandstands, the new support buildings and locker room are complete. We just need Mother Nature to work with us a little bit, and then we'll get going vertical on those structures. And then this is close to Burke's Heart at the Maintenance and Grounds building. We've started the interior remodel work there with some exterior improvements. And then the transportation building will right now, the abatement process is ongoing, and then we're scheduled to start from the construction standpoint here shortly. So I know that's the quick and short of the update, but wanted to facilitate any questions related to overall progress. And if not, we'll certainly be around for any questions you guys have during the tour.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Thank you so much. Great to see everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next up is remote attendance care team with Dr. Holly Putnam Jackson and Kristen Regier.
Good Good evening, Dr. Holly Putnam Jackson, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. This evening, we have with us Ms. Kristen Regier, who has been working diligently with our remote students and families to provide support and coordinate a team of remote attendance clerks, and she's going to provide you with an update on their progress.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Kristen Regier. I'm the Remote Attendance Care Team Coordinator. That's a mouthful, but we got through it. I, like Dr. Putnam Jackson said, that we are here to talk just about what the attendance care team is. The purpose of the care team is to make contact with the parents and guardians of USD 260 students that have chosen a remote learning mode of instruction or have been quarantined that have chronic unexcused absences. Our objective is to restore the above defined students back to the classroom and provide them support. This will be done by identifying the reasons behind those unexcused absences and trying to solve the identified problems or hurdles. We actually extended into 3 areas of support. The first one being outreach, second remote attendance, and third remote instruction. We're going to talk first about outreach. When the move was made for Derby Public Schools to go all remote learning for every student, that 3-week time period, the Derby Public Schools really wanted to make sure that we attempted contact with every single family within the Derby Public Schools district. That is a little over 3,900 families with just over 6,500 students. We were able to bring together 15 people all across the district. These are bus drivers, paras, nurses, and then the 3 clerks that work alongside of me with the attendance care team to reach out with all of those families. We were able to reach, meaning we actually spoke with the parent or guardian in that household. We were able to do that for 47% of the families contacted. The remainder were either voicemails left, emails sent, or there were some that we were not able to get in contact with due to various reasons. Of that 47% that we were able to reach, the reaction to the phone call, as well as the reaction to the move to remote learning, those were 73% positive. Parents were often complimenting the teachers and the administrators, especially those building principals, for their efforts during remote learning. They were appreciative of the district reaching out and offering support. We were able to help with tech needs, lunch sign up, as well as some social emotional help for our different students that were struggling in those ways. Only 6% had negative reactions. This surprised me. We only had one time where we had to hang up on a parent due to some pretty tough conversations in that situation. So pretty good numbers there. There was parents that had strong opinions on remote learning. They felt like their students were not getting the education that they deserved or that they needed. Then we also had the people that were neutral. They said that they're making best of the situation, but that their students missed their friends. That was a common thing that we heard over and over again, all the way from kindergarten, all the way through high school. Students were just wanting to be with their peers. Of that remainder percentage that we were not able to reach, there were 2 to 3 attempts made to those contacts, to those families. We tried to contact every single number or contact source provided in Skyward. We left voicemails we were able to with return phone numbers. We did have several return phone calls, and then emails were sent if those emails were available for us to send. That under 10%, so just at 9%, wrong numbers were either listed in Skyward or block numbers, just different things that prevented us from being able to leave a voicemail or to send an email to. But again, 2 to 3 attempts made to every single contact provided in Skyward for those families. We're going to move on to our second type of support, and this was remote attendance. what the care team was actually designed for, what it was created for. So we have two different areas here, our unexcused absences, and I'll define that, and then our chronic absenteeism. For our unexcused absences, these are our students that have 3 or more unexcused absences in a 1-week period. And that's defined differently at every single level. So elementary, middle, and high, that's all defined differently, how they pull into that report. I generate those reports every Wednesday and Friday evenings, and then make those available to our clerks to make those contacts the following day, so Thursday or then Monday. And they're contacting those families to let them know, number one, of the unexcused absences, and then two, what we can do to help with them. As of the end of January, there were 126 total students on that list. That's from kindergarten through high school. And our chronic absenteeism, these are 3 or more unexcused absences in an 8 to 10 day period. So not at the point that they're missing 3 or more in a week. So we wanted to bridge this out a little bit farther and try to nip some of these in the bud before they become a truant situation. These reports are generated every other Wednesday, and the contacts are made that following Thursday. This is a bigger number, 155 total students as of January 29th. So there's a little bit of statistics here for those unexcused absences. Again, that 3+ in a week period. Student breakdown by school level. Elementary is 25. Now, of those remote students, this is as of the end of these numbers of remote students are as of the end of semester 1. Okay, so 543 chosen remote students. Only 25 have 3 or plus unexcused absences. It means they've shown up on our list. Middle school 11 and high school is 90. We on that list, if they've been on that list more than 2 times, that's been about 46 recurring students. And that has been overwhelmingly our high school students, with just very few at that elementary level in middle school. So 220 total contacts. So again, we had 126 students. That means we're contacting these students often, these families. We're trying to get in contact to make sure we're doing everything we can to regain these students back to the classroom. We do this in a variety of ways: phone calls, emails, voicemails. We're finding a lot of success with parents returning emails better than returning phone calls. And they're a little bit more open with us too about what's taking place as well. All right, and now our chronic absenteeism, so our 3+ in that 8 to 10 day period. 9, 4, and 142, you can see that breakdown there. So again, that same 543, those numbers there for the end of semester 2. Those total contacts is right in line with the number of students. Our efforts on that front is increasing every single week as that list continues to expand. A couple of positive comments from those contacts. We had a parent of a DHS student let us know that this was in an email. She said, again, thanks for your email and for caring about, I redacted that student's name. They truly appreciate it. And this is actually our ACT elementary member, so she's our clerk that calls all of our elementary students. This is her synopsis of how those phone calls have been going. I think even the ones that are overwhelmed with everything are just happy we are there to listen. Even if we cannot fix anything, a listening ear is always good. I've had many responses to thank me for reaching out and thank me for listening. Some of the common hurdles that we're hearing repetitively from these students that are having chronic absenteeism is technology issues, connectivity, devices, Zooms. We're hearing a lot of students, they're trying to get in, the link is there, but they're getting dropped out of that classroom. And then that teacher's taking attendance, and unfortunately they aren't counted. We are telling them to document that and get in touch with that teacher, get in touch with that school to make sure that they're voicing those concerns. I'm also taking this information, sending that to our principals, to our teachers, letting them know that this is happening. Another common hurdle is social emotional, lack of accountability, depression, stress. One of the things that we continue to hear, especially at the high school level, is students without that peer motivation, without knowing that the student beside them is working hard or trying to become that eligible for that athletic event or whatever it is, Without having that, they're really struggling to push themselves at home. And that goes along with that lack of motivation. Expectation confusions. Teachers do things differently, schools do things differently. Some of our students are having trouble navigating that. We've really been working to try to make sure that our teachers or our students are engaging with their teachers, and those parents know that they can contact those teachers as well as the administrators to try to reduce those confusions. As well as education supports for students with IEPs and 504s. We're going to move on to our final type of support. This is remote instruction. This is assurance forms and quarantine students. So we are attempting contact with all families with remote assurance forms still outstanding. These are forms that were put on Skyward for every student, for that parent to sign as a requirement by KSDE. And then our quarantine students, these are reports that are generated daily, and then those contacts are made the following day for the students that were quarantined. Yesterday, they're contacted today, for example. Again, we're providing support and expectation for attendance, trying to get in front of the potential issues so that we can mitigate the excuses for not being in class. Statistics here on the assurance reforms. When we first started this in the middle of December, there were just a little under 3,000 outstanding remote assurance forms. We were able to make contact with 1,300 students' families. There were 21 that refused to sign that form. We do fill out a refusal form, and then that information goes to Dr. Putnam Jackson for that review and for documentation. As of the middle of January, 20% of the outstanding forms have been completed. So we are getting there with those. As of yesterday, I checked last night after the Chiefs lost. I needed something else to do. We had attempted contact a second time with everyone with outstanding assurance forms. So I'll run those numbers again to see how many more we still have outstanding. And then for our quarantine students, again, this quarantine list is being generated at noon and 4 p.m. every day. Average number of students on that list, and these are new quarantines every day, so I take out the ones that were quarantined for several days. These are new to the list every single day. The average has been around 70. Now, again, that's an average, so you take it all in, divide by how many lists we've had. Our outliers, sometimes we've had 150 on that list, but we've also had 4, like on Friday. So 70 is a number that, again, is an average, not a median. Minimal unexcused absence issues here, and our contact success rate is a little over 60% with contacting these families. Common comments here, most students are doing well, but they look forward to be back in person. Some are having trouble hearing back from teachers. Again, we're just communicating with the principals and making sure we're not missing anything. And then some confusion in regards to when students can return or what the rules are surrounding their quarantine. We refer them to the Return to Learn section and then also to their school nurses. Positive comments from parents or guardians as a parent of a DHS student for quarantine students. I want to thank you and everyone on the CARES team for everything you are doing for our school district. I know you are likely working tirelessly, reaching out to many families. My daughter returned to school on Friday. I just really wanted to make sure you know that we appreciate everything you're doing. Keep up with the great work. What you're doing is so helpful. Again, we're just doing good and appreciate the call to check in. That's a lot of what we're hearing. And then I'll just provide a summary here. We were able to fill out Wi-Fi assistance forms and technology support forms across all the different contact methods that we've been doing. Provide information for lunch pickups, connected administrators and other staff with students and their parents to meet their needs and hear their concerns. We've informed parents of students' absences. We've heard a lot, especially high school students, that they were unaware that their student had all these absences. Often those students don't show up on the list the next week, which is a good thing. We've assured parents that their students, that Derby Public Schools deeply cares about their students and providing the most excellent of education to all learning modes. Some of our next steps are a continuation of support. We're going to continue with the unexcused absence check-ins, quarantine students. Remote assurance follow-up is one of those things that we're kind of taking week by week to see how much more pressing we're going to do to try to get those back. And then one of the more exciting things that we're doing with the Panther Learning Center opening up, I had the opportunity to meet with Ms. Sparks and tour the Panther Learning Center, is we're actually referring students to PLC from our DHS list of unexcused absences. We're having that conversation with them on the phone if this is something they would be interested in. And then also, we've referred, I believe it's 26 students at this point to Panther Learning Center, and then Ms. Sparks is contacting them and hopefully gonna get those kids back in and get those unexcused absences down or eliminated. Some of the additional support features we may add on is contacting D and F students, and then also try to get some of those Wi-Fi hotspots returned, making some calls to those students that are back in school, they don't need those hotspots at home. Get those back to the district. That's all I have for you. I'll stand for any questions.
Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, so thank you for the report. I really appreciate that. I can't think of a better way for our CARES money to be spent. I think this is a phenomenal addition. I think it's needed. I think it's so important with every district in our area doing something different, that someone from our district actually reaching out and calling for quarantines or absences and things like that. So I just thank you for the report. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and I think this is an excellent program that we've got going. So thank you for that.
I have 3 clerks on our team that do elementary, middle, and high school, and they have been phenomenal. They've heard some tough stories, they've handled some hard conversations, and have done a wonderful job of representing Derby Public Schools.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? So just generally speaking, are we unique in doing what we're doing with this? I mean, I think it's a great program and just great customer service that we're providing and trying to stay up with these kids, but just curious.
Yep, so we do have some districts, just as I've checked in with other curriculum assistant superintendents across the state, that are incorporating a few of these steps into their existing kind of truancy protocols or systems that they have, usually only at the secondary level. So we are unique in both the level of, I would call it, rigor and intensity with which we are using our CARES money to make sure that we are reaching out and communicating with families when we don't see students show up or when we see a need for support.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right,
Any other questions? Did you stand for? Okay,
I think we're good,
thank you so much.
thank you. And you're up next. Under discussion, we've got summer school with Dr. Holly Putnam-Jackson.
Okay, so for summer school, our intention is to use our CARES funds in our next round. So Heather talked about the rounds of CARES fundings that we received, and that we're anticipating a second round of funds potentially from the state that we will apply for. And we are ready. We have the list. We're working on it with our Return to Learn committee to really make sure that we are taking advantage of the summertime to provide students with families with make-up learning opportunities to close any gaps that might have developed as part of COVID and changing in between forms of instruction. We are also excited just in general to see the opportunity for different summer learning opportunities for students at the elementary and middle school level to return, because in the past, that money has kind of dwindled away and we've been able to offer less and less. And it's been focused on high school. And so we see the CARES ESSER funds not only as an opportunity to help bolster our students in areas that might have been caused by COVID, but also just in general to provide some robust summer programming that has been designed by our teachers on the Return to Learn committee, and that is also flexible so that we're maximizing the amount of student learning that we can capture over the summer. So you'll see here in the description that we have identified Derby High School Summer School. Typically, there is one session that occurs during the summer. We have expanded it to 2 sessions. Some of those students that are on the DNF list that Ms. Regier was just speaking about have been identified by the Derby High School team in partnership also with the curriculum team. We kind of started having some conversation. And so we are wanting to use Acellus during the summer as well as additional course opportunities for students to come in and receive support in person during those 2 sessions in order to help them earn back credits that they may have been missing previously or they may have currently not received during this last 2 quarters. As part of that, we also plan, which this is unique, use of CARES funds. I have not heard another district that has had this conversation, so I was kind of excited when they brought it up. But that if we have additional CARE funds, that if they successfully complete a course, that we would give them some of their enrollment fees back as an incentive for students. Simply with the idea being there that it's been a rough year. Students may be frustrated with remote learning or just with some of the changes that have occurred throughout the year, and we really wanted to make sure that we were engaging and supporting them. And we wanted them to have skin in the game as well, was the phrasing that the team was using. So that will be the summer school. We will still offer driver's education, but with some changes at the state level, we wanted to make sure that that was accurate, so we'll bring that back to you at another date. You'll see some descriptions there for fuel-led credit recovery as well, and orientation dates that you would typically see on any given summer school enrollment year. We've just doubled it so that we're lined up with both of those sessions at the high school level. For K-8 summer school, you will see that we are planning to offer, and again, this is with the Return to Learn committees and work groups that are still working and planning as we speak, but a variety of in-person camps, as well as kind of weekly tutoring sessions and small skill groups that students can sign up for. We wanted to make sure that we have lots of flexible offerings because we know that we will be competing with sports camps, Boy Scout camps, Girl Scout camps, hopefully all of those things, as people begin to get vaccinated and return to in-person activities during the summer. We also plan to offer some remote activities for students and families. So if they are in a family where they've determined they're not ready to come back in person yet, we are still offering things that will help them recapture some of their learning and engage them over the summer as well. And then our AmeriCorps program will continue to offer its Camp Kinder Ready sessions, as well as tutoring to the groups of students in elementary schools that those AmeriCorps members have been supporting throughout the school year. So with that, I will stand for any questions that you might have.
Justin, go ahead.
So on the K-8 program, is there a charge for that one? I didn't see it in the...
Yep, so for the K-8 program, there at one point may have been like a $45 charge, but right now, because we have the CARES and ESSER funds, we are not planning to charge.
Okay, and then how many is it open to? Is there a limit on capacity for those?
That's a great question. So we're working with our Return to Learn committee. We are hoping to be able to open it up to really any student who would want to come. But we have a couple of moving pieces in that planning process. And one of those moving pieces is, just making sure we have enough staff, so we have the right student to staff and supervision ratio, so that our summer offerings are effective. And that is why you'll see that we're kind of planning it out so that teachers can work together to plan either 1 week, 2 weeks, in person, remote. And then we plan to put all of those things together in a sign-up genius where families can go in and select the option that they believe is best for their student.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Tina, go ahead.
You said K-8 is not planning to have a charge. Why does high school have a charge? if we're offering others no charge?
So historically, high school has always had to charge for the Acellus and Fuel Ed courses that require the online subscription. We did discuss waiving the high school charge altogether, but the sentiment of the team is that we wanted families to have an investment in summer school so that they would show up and work, and that we would then refund.
I understand that, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to put a charge on that, and I do understand skin in the game, but if these are historically students who need those credits, and when it comes down to graduation, if they don't have those credits, they're not graduating, I would rather see us spend money out of the CARES to provide that opportunity for them to make those credits up free of charge than to be having a situation where they have to pay $145 where they may not have it. Right, or do a full, I'm just curious as to, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, so, and I'll make a note of that. I do know that we have had some conversation where if we feel like the fee is standing in the way of a student being able to enroll, meaning we've identified that there is a student on our list that needs credits in order to graduate, and that would be either this year or next year, because we want to have as many of our juniors start the year off on good footing as possible, that we could look into seeing if they qualify for free and reduced lunch, or if there's some other reason that we believe the family is at risk, and then at that point, we would be looking to waive those fees, because we, through conversation like you, do not want to see students not have credits, especially if they're on our list of students who we know need credits right away.
Right, and I guess that would be my concern, is, we have kids from the high school who clearly they're not coming to class, as Kristen reported, and they are on the DNF. It just seems like we're penalizing, and I get that they have to be culpable and there has to be some skin in the game, but I also don't want to keep anybody graduating. That's a delicate balance, I guess.
It is a delicate balance, and that is part of why we're being very intentional about reaching out, such as putting our students that we know are in a vulnerable position and at risk of not graduating. We've identified those kids on a list, all the way down to junior level if they are below where we would expect them to be for credits. And we plan to basically call, invite, have the conversation through counselors, staff at Derby High School, our remote care team, so that we can ensure that we're reaching out to those families. And so it's one of those pieces where we can have, I think, some further exploration of how the fees are structured, but we are making sure through those conversations that if a student expresses that, a parent, anyone expresses that the fees are a challenge, that we would work through that.
Just for clarification, so at the high school, if a student's taking multiple classes in the summer, it's just one fee, it's not per credit or, okay,
Nope, it's just one fee.
okay.
Yeah, and what we've done, just in addition to that, as a proactive piece, is we've gone ahead and identified those students based upon their performance first semester, and we actually have many students that are already been identified and enrolled in Acellus course recovery credits right now, and also in next semester. So we're already starting to work with them. This summer is another opportunity in case they don't get all the way there this semester or next semester.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? I think we're good.
I have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
When your K through 8 program starts taking shape a little bit more, will you be bringing that back and visiting again with that?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is, under this discussion, is Derby North Middle School outdoor classroom dock request for proposal with Burke Jones.
Hello, I'm Burke Jones, Director of Operations, and tonight I bring a request for bid for an aluminum dock at Derby North Middle School that Mr. Smith already floated by you earlier. Good one. So we have ran this by our insurance carrier just to make sure that they didn't have any concerns there, and have implemented a couple of additional safety measures for the dock with a gate and some life-saving devices out on the dock. So with that, Mr. Smith and I would stand for any questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you tell me how deep that pond is?
Well, now or in a year. So we're going to, right now it's got a lot of silt in there, and we're going to start working on making it a little bit deeper. We've got some spots that are 4 feet, some spots that are 8 feet, and we have a 0 entry section. That sounds a little fancier. So the one caveat to this too, the grant we're using, we have to have the dock completed by May 31st. So this is a quick turnaround for whoever wins the bid.
So you would say 8 feet at its deepest point?
Pardon, say that again?
You would say that the depth is 8 feet?
That's some of the deepest points, but that's most of it isn't 8 feet, but there's some spots that are. As the silt from the farmer's field to our north has come in over the years and started to fill it in. So our first priority was to clear out the timber, and then we're going to start doing just a little bit of digging with the equipment we have, and maybe do something bigger a little bit later. But it's not going to be 20 or 30 feet or anything. It's going to be fairly shallow.
Since this is time sensitive, is this something you need moved to action tonight, or?
If I would welcome the consideration for sure, so we could get it out to bid earlier.
So I'd go ahead and move it to action tonight, so we could vote on it, get the bid out as quick as possible.
Thank you, that'd be very helpful.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of moving to action, raise your hand. Okay. 6-0. Okay. We'll move that to action. Thank you. Next up is vehicle maintenance temporary building lease with Burke Jones.
So one of the kind of byproducts of the extensive remediation we've had to do at the transportation facility is that nobody can be in the building right now. And then with all of the construction we're doing, if we could relocate the maintenance operations for our vehicle fleet during that time of construction, it would be very beneficial. Right now, our mechanics have no place to work. Sometime in March, they might be able to get back in there with lots of interruptions. So we actually found a automotive shop that the owner retired, and he's trying to sell the building. And we contacted him, and he's willing to lease the whole facility to us. In the lease documents, we're saying 6 months, but it can be canceled at any time in writing. So the site is really right across the street from Dairy Queen. You can see on the screen there along K-15. Let's see here. This is what it looks like on the outside. Nice big parking lot. And it has overhead doors that are large enough for us to get buses into it. So we could leave a bus parked in there for multi-day maintenance and still get in smaller fleet vehicles to do maintenance on those as well. And there's just a shot inside. So all of the air compressors, lifts, it's a fully functional mechanic shop. I had our attorney, Calvin Ryder, create the lease agreement, and the owner of the building has agreed to that lease agreement. So with that, I would stand for any questions.
Any questions? Comment? Go ahead.
Sounds like you lucked out.
I think we lucked out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, go
You
ahead.
want that move to action tonight?
Yeah.
That would be fantastic if we could do that.
Make a motion to move it on to action.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 6-0.
Thank you.
We'll move it to action. Thank you. All right, so moving along to our action section, item 8A is Derby High School yearbook request for bid with Becky Mader.
Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. I am bringing you this evening a request for bid for printing services of Derby High School's yearbook, The Panther. This is being brought to the board after the current 3-year contract is expiring at the end of the 2021 school year.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to
Okay.
approve.
Got a motion, Justin? Second, okay. Any discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 6-0, it's approved.
All right, thank you.
And you're up again. We've got district photography partner requests for proposal.
All right, thank you. I'm bringing this evening a request for proposal for the district's photography services. After discussion with staff throughout the district, it's recommended to get a fresh look at who provides these services. The request for proposal will be reviewed by members of the leadership team, by staff representatives, as well as parent group representatives. The proposal can be broken down into 3 separate contracts, so one for the elementary, one for the middle, and one for the high school buildings. Once they're reviewed, they will be scored, and the recommendation will be brought back to the board for approval.
Okay. Is there a
I
motion?
move to approve that.
Okay. Is there a motion? I'm going to give Pam the second. Any comments, discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. 6-0 approved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up is item 8C, switch purchase for Stone Creek Elementary with Dennis Elledge.
Good evening, Dennis Elledge, Director of Technology. Mr. Board President, with your permission, before I get started, I would like to just read a brief statement, a little bit about the vendor that has put this beautiful room together, the technology in it. Derby Public Schools would like to acknowledge and thank Kansas City Audiovisual for their partnership in helping us bring our vision of this new administrative center to fruition. The expertise they brought to connect and outfit this training center with the technology necessary to support our mission is very much appreciated. KCAV is a family-owned audiovisual integrator that has been providing innovative technologies to the Midwest for over 68 years. While technology has changed immensely since then, the company's commitment to the customer has not. Focused on helping schools, universities, and businesses succeed in the digital age, KCAV designs and installs systems and technologies that help their clients connect and collaborate more effectively, in person and remotely, anytime, anywhere. KCAV takes great pride in working as partners with clients like Derby Public Schools to create engaging spaces to learn, work, and share. The KCAV team members that are responsible for developing, engineering, building, and even training our board members for this room include Brent Marriott, Kylie Triplett, Craig Piguet, Heather Franklin, Heather Lurman, Tracy Walden, Bobby Cardwell, Jerry Bernard, Brandon Tunks, Deanna Koppas, Paula Anderson, and Brendan McKinnon. And I just wanted to say again, thank you to them. The room is fantastic. The training center is fantastic. And we look forward to learning about how to use all of this technology going forward. And now, without further ado, the thing you've been waiting all night for, my agenda item. So this one, we actually brought this last year for before the board to purchase these switches for Stone Creek. We did execute the purchase, but we ended up purchasing the wrong models. What we needed was something that provided power to the access points built into the switch, and we got the ones without that built in. Unfortunately, it's a long, arduous process to work with the FCC and E-rate to get that switched out and get approval to repurchase a different model, but we finally obtained that. And so what we'd like to do now is go ahead and purchase the replacement switches. Since it is a different cost, we just wanted to bring that before you again and get new approval so we have on record what the actual cost is. So with that, we would like to request approval to purchase the replacement switches in the amount of $23,728.25. And just to let you know, E-rate, of course, is still paying their percentage, so our actual out-of-pocket will only be $12,519.11. With that, I'll ask for approval.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve that. Is there a second? Go ahead. Sure, go ahead, yeah.
Did we order the wrong switches or did they send us the wrong switches?
We asked for the correct ones. The paperwork came in with the incorrect model, and we did not do our due diligence in making sure that the right model number was there. So we have our own culpability in this.
Okay, so basically we just didn't double check when it came in and that's why we're on the hook.
That's correct.
Okay. Make sure we double check those, please.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is item 8D, renewal of contract for assistant superintendents with Heather Bohati.
Good evening, Heather Bohati, Superintendent. Tonight, bring before you the annual renewal. This is a 2-year contract, which is the regular contract through the 2022-2023 school year, recommending Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction, Dr. Holly Putnam-Jackson, and Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Becky Mader. 2 incredible team members, and recommend for their approval contract.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 6-0.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and then item 8E is the renewal of contract for superintendent, and I will make a motion to approve the renewal of the contract for Superintendent Heather Bohati through the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, approved 6-0. Thank you. And then we've got 2 items that we added on from our discussion earlier, and I believe F is the outdoor classroom dock request that we moved to action.
Sure, so this is the request for bid for the dock at the outdoor classroom at Derby North Middle School, so that we can take it out to bid. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay. We've got Matthew moving and Pam second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 6-0 approved.
Thank you.
And then the last item under action is 8G, vehicle maintenance, temporary building lease.
So this is for a temporary lease of an existing automotive garage for our fleet maintenance and mechanics to work out of. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, Burke? Okay. I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right. Approved 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So our final item for tonight is we will do a tour of the administrative center. And before we do that, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Go ahead.
One question, do we need to make some kind of motion that we're going to adjourn after the tour, or do we do that, do we have to come back in here to do that? I
Yeah.
just was asking, so. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll regroup in here and adjourn after the tour. So thank you.
I didn't know if somebody needed to be present.
Gotcha. Thank you all.
so fun.
All right, so we've completed our tour, and I'll take a motion to adjourn if anybody'd like to adjourn. So moved. Okay. All right, motion and second. All those in favor? Okay, 6-0. Thank you all. Have a good evening.